Welcome to Heads Up SA, where we bring you the latest on South Africa's political drama. Today we are diving into the ongoing battle within the EFF, with EFF MP Mokoena under fire for crediting the MK party with pushing for unity among progressive forces. A new wave of tension has erupted within the EFF. Some EFF members are now questioning Fana's loyalty, even calling him a double agent for his apparent support of the MK party. So what's really happening here, and why has the call for unity sparked such a heated debate?
You're asking me two questions. What do I understand about the EFF's role in the progressive left? Or what do I understand as the EFF having done over its past 11 years for the marginalized and the poor?
Okay.
Because I think there is a misconception ever since small Nyana parties had some miracle performance in the last electoral outcomes that they are actually, consistent progressive leftist parties. We can't be so quick to denote that term for a party that's less than 12 months. The EFF is and remains the only progressive left party in this country because for 11 years it has consistently been that progressive leftist party. Others that came 15 months ago, there's no... What yardstick do you use to measure if they are really indeed a progressive leftist organization? Or maybe they are posturing themselves because of a specific desire in terms of electoral outcomes. So I don't want us to confuse it. In the South African context, there's only one consistent leftist organization, which has been the Economic Freedom Fighters.
It all started with Mokoena praised the MK party, led by former President Jacob Zuma, for its push to unite leftist forces. Mokoena publicly stated that the MK party's vision for unity within the progressive movement is a superior idea for South African politics. To some EFF members, this was nothing short of an endorsement of the MK party's agenda, a move they see as undermining EFF's own leadership in the struggle for unity.
They don't greet each other. They are not friends with each other. They don't hug each other. They focus on the race. We are not insulting anyone. We are not belittling anyone. We are focusing on our race. If they want us, they will find us at the finish line. If they want us, they will find us at the end of the race. Amanda!
Mokwena's words did not sit well with many EFF members who have long believed that the EFF pioneered the call for unity among leftist forces. Some high-ranking members argue that unity has been a core EFF principle since its founding, not an idea imported from the MK party. To complicate things further, members within the EFF include EFF Student Command President Sihle Lonzi have outright rejected Mokwena's statement. They argue that the EFF has always championed unity, claiming it's written clearly in the party's founding manifesto. According to them, the MK party's recent calls for unity are an attempt to hijack an idea that the EFF has always stood for. By giving the MK party's credit for this push, Mokoena has inadvertently fueled suspicions within the EFF. Now, some members are asking if Mokoena is truly loyal to the EFF or if he's subtly aligning with the MK party. The whispers of Mokoena being a double agent have grown louder, especially after he continued to praise the MK party's unity initiative.
Look, I think the biggest irony around the question of EFF and mood is that too often people would like to brand the EFF as a populist organization. And now one of the characteristics of a populist organization is that it goes with the wave. When the people say we don't want foreigners, they go with foreigners. When the people say we love foreigners, they go with foreigners. When people say chase this one away, they go with it. So what demonstrates that the EFF is not a populist organization is that it's willing to stand on its principles even if they are not popular or favorable at the time.
EFF MP Sinao Tambo has also weighed in, claiming that the MK party is using black unity as a front for infiltration. Tambo warned that this tactic isn't new. He argued that Zuma once used his influence within the ANC to secure power, ultimately contributing to the ANC's decline. Now, Tambo alleges Zuma and the MK party are attempting a similar move by cannibalizing the EFF from within.
We're interrogating it because we're in a progressive caucus with them, and they seem to be drifting further and further from what can be called progressive. There's nothing progressive about parliamentary sovereignty. There's nothing progressive about saying traditional houses and royalty must have powers to create law, as if it's Bantustan or some isolated thing. There's nothing progressive or Marxist about that. There's nothing progressive about centering an entire constitution around an individual who has powers to decree what must happen, when, where, and how.
Yeah.
There's nothing progressive about not having internal democracy and elective conferences. But we're still working together because they make claims that they're anti-colonial and all sorts of things. So their posture generally, ideologically, there's things that we'll find commonplace. Just as we do with the ANC, there's things where we find commonplace with. But we don't agree with the military conscription of kids, sending young boys to the military by force. We don't agree to sending impregnated young girls who are more often than not impregnated because of abuse and sexual violence. We don't agree with sending them to Robben Island. So there's many things that must be interrogated so that people can self-correct, hopefully. So that is an ideological discussion that must be allowed. They have as well in their constitution. And I know they're going to see this and say we're obsessed with them. We have a duty to interrogate the thinking of those we have relationships with. They have now in their constitution some clause that says they mustn't insult people, even if people are critical of them. I think it's the highest level of intellectual cowardice. Serious.
Central Command member Anthony Matumba was even more blunt. He questioned Mokwena's loyalty directly, accusing him of aligning with Jacob Zuma's agenda. According to Matumba, the MK party's push for unity isn't about fighting the ANC. Instead, it's aimed at weakening the EFF. For Matumba, Mokwena's praise for the MK party is a betrayal of the EFF's mission to build a radical and independent leftist movement.
There are some people of some hostel who say radical economic transformation.
Yeah.
That is misguided. Misguided how? What is it that you want to transform? Have we built our economy? So
some of them were in this picture. We remove it.
When you say radical economic transformation, which economy do you want to transform? You want to transform that economy that we said is not meant to benefit the oppressed. You want to transform Standard Bank. You want to transform ABSA. You can't transform that which was built to oppress you. So it means we need to go through the phase that the ANC diverted from. Because the ANC was supposed to come to the second phase, which is socialism. Because as a liberation movement, they have to unite black people towards liberation. And when they've gained this liberation, you have to take them through a process called socialism.
In response to these accusations, supporters of the MK party have been questioning the EFF stance. One of the MK party followers asked if, by EFF's logic, the EFF itself has been infiltrating other movements. They pointed out that other figures like Karl Nias, Mzwanele Manyi, Dali Mpofu, and Busisiwe Mkhwebane all left their respective parties to join the EFF. So why accuse the MK party of infiltration when the EFF has also accepted members from other parties? This question exposes the irony in the EFF's position and highlights the tension between the two parties' approaches to unity. For MK party's supporters, this isn't about infiltration, it is about creating a coalition of progressive forces. But for EFF's loyalists, the MK party's moves appear as a calculated strategy to dilute the EFF's influence.
I don't think there's anything intellectual guiding, because they speak about that one of their core objectives is uniting black people on all progressive forces. You know, Comrade Jacob Zuma has been alive for 82 years. When did he come to that realization that there needs to be a unity of black people? He was a state president for almost 10 years. When did he come to the realization that there needs to be a uniting of black people and progressives? And why must we now all unite under him when he served as a president of the oldest liberation movement in the continent and never pursued an agenda to unite black people? So where does that come from? So there's no intellectual persuasion to what they are saying. And I'm not convinced that it's anything different in terms of what he has been doing all of his political life. Jacob Zuma thrives on victimhood. Like he survives of it. His political posture, his political thinking is victimhood. Ever since the saga of Kwezi in the early 2000s, he's always been the saga of when they called him a Zulu boy, the saga of when he was dismissed by Thabo Mbeki, the saga now when he lost the conference, when he was supporting Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the 2021 unrests, his arrest as a result of the Zondo Commission, which was saying he must come and present himself. He's got a track record of surviving because he's a victim and presenting himself as someone who needs to be protected because there's this constant attack on him.
And he's got this dual membership now, ANC and MK.
He still wants to rescue the ANC. That's another thing that no one wants to talk about, that the fundamental objective of that organization when it was formed was that it's going to rescue the ANC from itself or from the current neoliberal trajectory that it is taking.
As the debate intensified, Mokoena defended his position, stating that the idea of unity among the black organizations predates both the EFF and the MK party. However, Mokwena's explanation did little to ease the concerns of his critics within the EFF, with many members still suspicious. Some are calling the EFF president Julius Malema to intervene and clarify the party's stance on this so-called unity being promoted by the MK party. So what do you think? Is Mokoena simply advocating for unity, or is he opening the door for the MK to influence the EFF from within? Will this internal strife lead to a shift in the EFF's decision? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Heads Up SA for more deep dive into South Africa's political landscape. Keep your heads up, SA.